Hey guys, I am back. It's been a while. Let's get into it. I am officially 4 months postpartum and it's been wild. When I say wild, it's been a roller coaster. Postpartum depression, I really want to talk about, especially as a first-time mom. Ton of just really scary stories of women who have their baby and then they just don't feel a bond. They feel depressed. They're crying all the time. They're very emotional. It's wild. Like, I don't think it's something that you're ever going to understand until you go through it yourself and have your own baby. I ended up having a C-section. My baby was expected to be bigger than usual. I had some complications because I was diabetic, just my past history of losses that I've had. So they just decided it would be easier for a C-section for me, which I completely agreed on. Fine. We went in to get the C-section. Obviously, I was prepared. Like, I knew weeks beforehand I was going to get a C-section. And genuinely, I think before I get into that, it's so funny, but if you guys can hear the like noise, it's because I'm pumping right now. I have the mom cozies on, which, by the way, only one of the motors kind of went bad already. So I just put them on and then I switched the motors. It's really annoying. They didn't want to help me. I reached out to them and they were like, sorry, we don't have any free samples right now. But anyways, it's besides the point. I genuinely think that one thing that is so freaking important, really helped me, is basically my husband, because Jay is very hands-on. He is not the kind of husband who's just expects me to do everything, cook, clean, take care of the baby, like, at all. He's not that kind of person. When I had the C-section, he was just so supportive. Those first couple of days, I felt like my insides were gonna fall out if I just like moved, coughed weirdly. It was weird. I wasn't in any pain. It was more so me feeling like my insides were gonna rip open anytime I did anything. The process itself, I can talk about later if people care about that. But he was so supportive, so helpful. He was very much there for me. I think like in the first couple of days, I was just emotional, not in the way that, oh, I didn't feel a connection with her. It's just, I just felt emotional because I went through such a long process. My pregnancy was so hard on my body and mentally that I was just like, wow, okay, like, she's here. Like, I was just so emotional because I was like, wow, like, she's finally here after everything. I was just so grateful for it. I will say that I have now researched it a little bit more after looking into it. So I didn't get the kind of depression where I was sad and crying. I mean, yes, I did get a little emotional. Okay. I cried once because I got the wrong diapers. It was just like not the specific Huggies brand that I wanted. I lost it. I fucking lost it. I started crying and Jay was like, it's fine, relax. But my issue was more so, I'm doing something wrong. Like, I would get so scared at night. I did have the outlet, by the way. I had the outlet and we put it on her, but I just felt so scared. Like, I just didn't want anything to happen to her because, again, I've gone through so much for her to finally be here and then something happened. I'm terrified of SIDS. I'm terrified of just anything happening to her. I do not like when people hold her longer. I think the only people like I truly trust 100% is Jay, my husband, and my mom. Like, if anybody else holds her, I'm like, yes, I'm like, okay, cool. I have a little bit of a break. Let me do some stuff. But I'm still like this, like, it's very, very, very hard for me, to just let her be. I don't know how else to explain it besides I'm constantly worried that something's going to happen to her. And I think those thoughts have genuinely consumed me. Jay was only able to stay with me for the first 2 weeks because he had to go back to work. And after that, I was on my own. And I just had so many thoughts of being scared of, like, we would be, you know, I would be in the living room. She'd be in the bassinet sleeping. I'm watching her. The bassinet is covered. And I would just have these thoughts of like, oh my God, she's going to roll over. What if she rolls over and fall? I'm like, she's 2 weeks old. Like, she's not going to roll over and fall out of the bassinet. But in my mind, I was like, I have to watch her every second. I was at the point where I didn't want to, I didn't even want to go pee. Because I was like, I don't want to walk away for 1 second because what if something happens? I wasn't showering often just because my husband works so much out of town. So the days that he would be out of town, I would not shower because I was so scared to leave her alone in the other room. And I would, when I would take a shower, I would take the bassinet in the restroom with me. And I'd be watching her sleep and I would just be so scared. Like, I need to get out, I need to get out, I need to be with her, make sure she's okay. This is what I was saying earlier and I totally forgot, but I've researched it a little bit more and I've realized that what I have is postpartum anxiety. So if you know me, I'm the most anxious person in the world. So it's very, I don't know why I didn't think about that. I didn't even know postpartum anxiety was a thing, but it is. And that's basically me. I'm constantly worrying. I'm constantly scared. There was a little bit of an incident that happened where, again, I'm so scared of people. I don't like people touching her. Okay, that's my thing. Don't touch her. She's my precious baby angel. And like, it just, I can't explain it. Like, I don't want people touching her because I'm like, just don't touch her. Don't bother her. She's fine, you know? So one day, I was washing dishes, my husband's in the room, my sister-in-law's in the room, and our nephew decides to like pick her up. At this point, she was maybe like a month and a half, close to 2 months, not maybe a month, I don't remember. And he decides to pick her up out of the bassinet. Now, if you know the bassinet, like, you know, it's like you can pick her up, but then you have to take her out, right? So he picked her up. He's small, he's like 6. I just heard my sister-in-law go, no, like, put her down. I turn and I see, and she grabbed her in time. Like, nothing happened where we were close. She was right there with him. We were literally all in the vicinity, right? But in my head, I genuinely lost it, you guys. I lost it. I started crying, bawling, yelling. Just thinking back on it, it makes me very emotional because it just takes me back to that day when I was so scared because I was like, we had hardwood floors. He's small. If he dropped her, she was a month old. All of those thoughts are in my head of like, he could have dropped her. Something could have happened. She could have died. She could have hit her head. She's so young. And Jay, my husband, was like trying to calm me down because I was like a crazy person, you guys. I was yelling, crying, screaming. I was like, like literally, okay? I'm not joking when I tell you I was a crazy person. And he was trying to calm me down and he was like, it's okay, like she's fine, like nothing happened. And I'm like, that's not the point. That's not the point. In my head, I'm already thinking like, okay, but what if she didn't turn in time? What if she didn't see him? What if she fell? Like, all of that goes through my head. And at this point, I'm like, I think a million steps ahead of things that could potentially happen. So that personally was a very traumatic event for me, just having all of that happen. Another thing that has been really hard for me is I really wanted to breastfeed. We would do breastfeeding. She was having a very hard time latching. And it was at the point where she would just get very frustrated and I would get frustrated. And fun fact, if you did not know, breastfeeding is not supposed to be painful, okay? Yes, it might be uncomfortable and hurt at first and weird. And yes, it might hurt. But it is not supposed to be something where like every time you are breastfeeding, you are in physical pain where you're like, oh my gosh, that's not normal. I did not know that, okay? I didn't know that until my pregnancy because my doctor's offices, they would get you connected with lactation experts very early on when you were still pregnant, and they would then continue the sessions after you had the baby, right? So they would all explain to you like, hey, it is not normal for you to be in so much physical pain when you're breastfeeding. Like, people try to normalize it, and that's not the truth. Like, you're not supposed to be in pain. So her latch was very closed, where she was supposed to be latching like this. She'd be latching like this, aka extremely painful for me. And then since it was so painful for me, I would be like, oh, and then she would feed off of that, get frustrated. I'd get frustrated. So I decided to start pumping. And then I started looking at alternatives, which like the lactation experts that I worked with, because they literally, at the time it was video chats. I was literally boob on video chat, like showing her, and she was seeing like, oh no, like she definitely is not latching correctly, like blah, blah. So they gave me the alternative, like, hey, you should try nipple shields, which a family member also recommended that, which I tried. Still did not work. Like, it just extremely painful for me. And for me, yes, I really wanted to breastfeed, but at the end of the day, I just cared about being able to provide her with that breast milk. For me, it wasn't so important of like actual latching. I know for some people it is. For me, it's not. I just wanted her to get the benefits of my breast milk. Okay, so if I was gonna have to pump and feed her through a bottle, like, that's fine with me. Personally, I think that has been a good and bad decision. It's good because other people can feed her and I can get a break. It's bad because pumping consumes your life. My life literally is in 3-hour increments. Every 3 hours, I'm pumping. At this point, I do not pump overnight because it was just affecting me too much mentally. So I only pump during the day. I try to pump at least 5 times, but some days I can only do 4. And I want to try to pump until 6 months. 6 months would be December, end of December. That's when I'm stopping. I'm almost there. We are October. But I do want to say that I never noticed just how many people worry about breastfeeding. I just thought it was really weird how everybody would ask me constantly, or ask Jay, like, so was she able to latch? Was she able to latch? Like, is she breastfeeding? Like, is she giving it from the boob? And I remember telling Jay, like, why is everybody asking if I'm breastfeeding, if I'm doing this? Like, why do they care? And at that time, I remember being so mad and so annoyed. Every time people would be like, did you use this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Like, because at that point I did do a lot of it. And then I probably gave up breastfeeding after like 2 weeks, like trying, because I was just getting pumping and then giving it to her, right? But people would still be like, so are you able to latch her? Like, and to me, it just, because I was so emotional about it. Like, I was like, why do you guys care? Why? And in my head, I was like, I never in my life have seen a pregnant woman have kids and be like, hey, so are you feeding her directly from your boob? I just personally was like, why? Like, why do you guys care so much? And then I told Jay, I talked to him about it, because I'm already upset that I'm not able to latch. And then I just feel like I had so much judgment on me. And again, like, that's probably not what they were going for. They were probably just trying to help me. But I felt very judged. And I talked to Jay about it. And I was like, Jay, like, why is everybody asking me, like, are you able to latch? Are you able to latch? Or why are they asking you? Like, why? Like, I'm thinking back on it and I'm like getting all the emotions of like how I felt at the time. And I told him, I was like, I feel like everybody's judging me because I'm just deciding to pump instead of like breastfeeding her. And I was like, this is what works for me, and she's getting the benefits of my breast milk. Like, why is everybody so concerned? And he kind of told me like, hey, like, I know that you probably feel like they're judging you. He's like, but honestly, like, they're probably just trying to help you. Like, they're not, like, I don't think they're judging you. They're trying to be helpful because they do know that you're a first-time mom. So maybe they're trying to give you tips. And I was like, okay, you're right. But in my head, like, freshly postpartum, I was like, why do y'all care so much? Like, so I told you, I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, maybe they are not judging me. Maybe it's just all in my head because I'm freshly postpartum and I'm extra sensitive, and people asking me a million questions is stressing me out. But yeah, I got over that quickly. I was like, okay, like, if people ask, whatever. one thing that has really kind of stressed me out too is I like to do my research on things. Okay, so if there's research on this specific thing for a baby, I want to make sure that I look up the research of like, okay, does this help the baby develop mentally? Is this good for the baby? Is it bad for the baby? Like screen time, no screen, things like that. I'm very much like, I love to research because I want to know what the studies show. Okay, I want to be the best mom that I can be. So another thing that's really annoying to me is like when people are like, well, I did this and my baby is fine. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's great for you. But I'm going to do what I want with my child. Okay. I don't judge people. Like if you want to give your baby like 100% screen time, do it. Like that's fine. That's you. That's not me. So that's another thing. I never really realized how many opinions people will have, like until you have a kid, because everybody's like, you need to do this because I did this and it was perfectly fine. No, I will not be doing it just because your child came out fine. A lot of their kids are not even fine anyways, but that's the last thing I do want to talk about as far as how I've been feeling postpartum. By the way, I've been wearing a faja all the time. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the faja has been very helpful on like getting my stomach back in. I think the only thing that has been hard on me, like mentally, I love her so much. I'm obsessed with her. Like she's perfect. Okay. If you follow me on Instagram, like, you know, I'm obsessed with her. Like she's the best person, the best baby in the world. She's so calm. She's so chill. She's so relaxed. She's perfect. But, the one thing that I definitely have struggled with is Jay has been, again, he's amazing. He is obsessed with her. He's the best daddy. But I found myself being a little annoyed with him because I guess it's very different how if we have to go to the store, we have to do something, there's something missing, he can straight up like grab his phone and walk out the door. I can't do that ever. Like, because I have to grab the diapers and like get the backpack and get extra bottles and get the wipies and get this and get extra onesies. And then on top of that, I have to get myself ready. And then I have to do this and then I have to do this. And like, it's just a million things. So I think that's like the only thing, not that I'm mad at him for it, because again, like, he will take her, he'll keep her. He is not the kind of dad that he's like, oh no, you have to take the baby with you. No, like I can leave her with me, leave her with him, which I did the other day, but it's just such an adjustment. And like, I never thought that I would feel that way because he's so helpful. He's amazing. But I just get jealous because I'm like, how can he can just get up and go. He can just get up and go on about his day. And I can't do that. Like, I got to do a million things before I walk out the door. Which I think that has been hard on me just because I'm also the kind of person that I'm such a homebody. I love being at home. But I'm also the kind of person that likes to go to the stores. Let's go to Marshall's. Let's go to TJ Maxx. Let's go to a coffee shop. Let me just go out and do something. And now I'm very much like, I don't want to do all that because then I have to get all her stuff and do this and this and this. And then I'm also so extremely scared being out and about by myself with her because I'm like, what if something happens? Again, postpartum anxiety. I'm like, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? So yeah. Other than that, you guys, I feel great. I know all that sounds like, oh, like, what are you talking about? Like, how do you feel great? But no, I genuinely do feel good. I do feel a little weird about my body, but it's nothing major. But yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment for sure. And I really, really, really appreciate the people, especially my best friend. My mom has been so helpful with me too, like making meals for me, cooking. My parents have been great. Like they really have. They went as soon as she was born and they helped me. But my best friend, Melissa, I just want to like shout her out really quick if she watches this, but why am I emotional about this? But a lot of people, I think a hard thing okay, I'm going to end with this, okay? Because I don't want to cry anymore. I don't want to cry. But one of the hardest things for me is like hearing people say like, oh, like the baby's here now. Oh my God. I didn't think I was gonna get emotional for this, but it's just hard for me when I hear people be like, oh, like you're not important anymore. Like it's just the baby now. Like, no, like you're whatever. Like the baby's what matters. And let me tell you, like 100%, like she's number one. She's the person that I care about. She's all I care about. But it's very hurtful to hear people be like, you don't matter anymore. Like you're not important. And my best friend, Melissa, like no joke, every single day would text me and be like, how are you feeling? Are you okay? Do you need something? How are you feeling about this? Like, what is she doing? Like, talk to me about it. She was just very, very helpful. And like, to me, I really felt heard and seen by her, because everybody says, how's the baby? And nobody says, how were you? Except for her. So I just like really, like, I really love her for that. That was a lot of rambling, but yeah, overall, I feel great. I have the best baby ever. She's so happy. She's so smiley. Jay is the best daddy. All of us are obsessed with her. And I need to get back to getting some new videos out. By the way, I forgot to mention, I just moved back to Texas. So this is my new house. I will be doing a video on that soon. But thank you guys for watching today's video and hearing me ramble and rant about my personal feelings. I love you guys for watching this, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.